MacVoices is sponsored by Smile and PDF Pen 9, the best way to do more with your PDF documents, including optical character recognition, search and replace, secure redacting, highlighting features, and much more. Get all the details and download a free trial at smilesoftware.com. MacVoices is in San Jose for AltConf and WWDC. I'm Chuck Joyner. I'm talking to the gentleman who's become kind of a celebrity here because he was featured in a movie that premiered here at WWDC. Ish, welcome, Ish. It's good to meet you.
All right, pleasure.
So how did you end up in App: A Human Story?
It's really interesting. I was giving a talk at one of the developer meetups in Orange County, and the director, Jake Schumacher, was just kind of in the audience. At the end, he kind of came up to me and kind of suggested that he film me submitting one of my apps to the store. Now, this happened on March 31st, so I actually thought it was an April Fool's joke at first, because like, who wants to film a guy just like submitting an app? But yeah, it kind of started there, and over the next couple of, almost, I guess, about a year and a half, he just kind of like followed me around doing various things, and yeah, he's got part of my story, part of my life, and things like that in the movie, so pretty cool.
So, you know, the typical star question, how has this changed your life or affected your interaction with folks here at Alt and WW?
I guess a disproportionate number of people recognize me than I recognize. So I'll like walk down the street and people are like, hey, Ish. I'm like, oh, hey, how you doing? But yeah, I'm always happy to meet like anyone, talk to anyone, so yeah. It's good.
Okay, so it's obvious, you know, for this crowd, why you would be kind of a celebrity. But seems to be something happening with Apple bringing out Planet of the Apps. Developers seem to be getting a whole lot more focus and a whole lot more attention. I'm not sure they're being elevated to celebrity status as much as we're joking about it, okay. But they're still being seen all of a sudden. I think whereas before, okay, it's the app, and now it's the developer behind the app or the developing team behind the app that's getting more attention. What happened? How did this? Why is this change happening?
A bunch of folks took Jake's idea and just ran with it. No, I think that kind of as apps become a part of our daily lives, there ends up being that question like, okay, so who is involved in creating these things that I'm spending so much of my time using? And as more people get involved in the industry, start making apps of their own, you kind of get kind of an interest and a community around the creators as well as the product. So I think that's kind of what's going on there.
Well, the same thing, the humorous video that Apple opened the keynote on Monday with. Right. You know, that, okay, your apps are disappearing, oh my God, the world comes to an end. Yeah. It's just more of the same theme that all of a sudden we're becoming so dependent on apps and therefore on developers.
Absolutely. It's really becoming like an integral part of our lives. So the people involved. Also, I'm really glad that the focus is going there as well, because it's really important to understand that there's people behind these apps. Sometimes, like in the App Store, there'll be very critical 1-star review, why is this app not free? It's because there's a human behind it trying to feed their family, and that 99 cents would go a long way to help them get some food. So it's helpful to understand there's a human experience behind these things that we use like all the time. Yeah.
And your point is so well taken. It's a theme that has our listeners and viewers will know, you know, resonates. App developers have to get paid. They can't do everything for free, and they can't live on 99 cents an app. It just is not right. You got to do something to help support those people so they'll keep doing what they're doing.
Not only that, but also sustainable. That 99 cents will not last 7 years. I use this analogy a lot, but imagine a movie. You go and you pay for Fast and the Furious 1. And then when Fast and the Furious 8 comes out, you're like, well, I bought a ticket for the first one. It has basically same actors, a few new features, new things, but it's the same thing. Why would I have to pay again? People understand that greatly when it comes to every other thing, but for apps, there's kind of this habit that we just expect to like, oh, well, app will be free, updates will be free, and time and energy don't go in. But no, it takes a lot of time to create an app, it takes a lot of time to update an app, and it really needs to be like a sustainable ecosystem. So.
Yeah, and it makes me crazy, and frankly, I've never heard the movie analogy before, and that's a perfect example. You know, my favorite analogy is your car. Okay, I buy a car, well, a new model comes out, it has new capabilities. I don't expect to go and trade my old car in for a new car.
Get all the enhancements, right? Yeah.
I mean, okay, if I can plug some in, I would expect to pay an upgrade fee.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's fair. Labor goes into it. Whether it's a tangible object like a car or software, it still takes work. It still takes hours and hours, and time is money in this case. Time basically away from doing other things, time with your family, and all this. And honestly, app prices are super duper cheap to begin with, right? 99 cents, $5, $10. People pay that giving a tip, buying a drink, things that don't even last for a half an hour, and apps we use every day. For some reason, there's like hesitance, like, oh, I don't know, $2. It's a really odd semantic when you actually think there's actually people behind this trying to sustain themselves on what you're paying is way less than like minimum wage. Like, it's really hard to even get anywhere close to that level of effort into something for that price. So they're already pretty cheap.
Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot.
Sure.
How do you and I right here, right now, solve it? How do we fix it? Is it up to the developer to say, I'm going to put this higher price, this realistic price on my app and hold the line and maybe lose sales? Or do we as I'll step away and say, me as a customer, should I try to find a way to contribute more for your 99-cent app? How do we fix this?
Interesting. What I'm doing is long game. My long game is education and awareness, right? Bringing more people into the fold, having more people know what it's like to build an app, to make an app. And as you start to do this, even if you make a small app, a little thing, you start to realize that, you know what, this actually takes real effort. You start to appreciate the craft, appreciate the time that goes into it, and from that, I think there becomes like a value. Because right now, being so far removed from it, you just see an app like appear, oh, here's an app, it's free. You don't really understand the process and the love and sweat that goes into actually building one. So I think in raising awareness and kind of bringing more people into the fold of actual app development, I think we kind of bring value to the product and the ecosystem.
How do you feel about the subscription model for some pieces of software? Obviously it makes sense, I think, for some, for others maybe not so much. Where do you see the lines being drawn on that?
For the apps that it does make sense for. For instance, if you have a calculator app, it's going to be really hard to get a subscription, right? But honestly, without a subscription type model, it's difficult, like I said, 7 years down the line, how do you still maintain relevance? How do you pay for future updates? I think that any app that actually needs regular updates, like annual updates, it makes sense to charge annual subscription. So
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I hope people are paying attention to some of this and looking at the app developers now as people and not just people in the shadows creating this stuff.
Yeah, there's people behind it. Apps don't create themselves. You don't just press a button and have an app. It takes a lot of work from lots of people to get these things out. So, yeah.
And I know I'm not a coder, so coming to events like this, sitting down with people and understanding what it takes to develop a calculator app,
right?
Is not a small thing.
Not a trivial thing at all. Even something that seems as simple as a calculator app and a to-do list app, there's tons of them, but they still take time to create. It's not doesn't just like happen overnight. So, yeah.
So where do folks find you to send you money, get autographs,
You're welcome to follow me on Twitter. I'm very active on Twitter. It's at Ish Shabazz. It's ISHABAZZ. Also Medium. You can go to ishabazz.com. Just forward straight to my Medium right now. Later on I'll build like a full website and such. And my apps are like all over the store. So just check me out, follow me on Twitter, and happy to chat with anyone too.
I was having too much fun at the start, and we were talking about the movie.
Right.
What kind of apps do you develop?
Most of my apps are productivity apps. Games seem like a fun thing to do, but I admire games, but I have horrible hand-eye coordination, so I don't really play games that much. So I usually do things kind of scratch my own itch, which is usually something utility, productivity, things like that. So I have a sticker app that's fun. It's called StampPack. Tons, about 400 or so, like these red stamps you can use with the message effects. A lot of fun communication there. A couple weeks ago, released an app called Boomerang, which is a translation app. What you do, if you like translate, say, from like English to Spanish, or maybe even English to Chinese, you might not recognize the translation. Just be like, oh well, I guess that's all right. What this app does, it'll translate it back to you, and you can just check to see if it makes sense. A lot of times it does. Sometimes the result is funny. Sometimes it would be embarrassing. So it gives you an opportunity to kind of check your translation before you send it out. So, yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Ish, thank you so much. Great to meet you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Folks, we'll have more from AltConf and WWDC in San Jose. I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes, links to subscribe, and to connect with Chuck on Twitter, Google+, Facebook, YouTube, Vimeo, SoundCloud, the MacVoices blog, the MacVoices Dispatch, our weekly newsletter, and on MacVoices magazine, free on Flipboard that helps you do more with your Apple tech. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.